Imagine watching the snooker, right? And you get backstage interviews with the two players. You get a tribute video to Hurricane Higgins. Jimmy White comes out to present an award to a younger player. You get what? Hang on, what? You want some snooker? You want to watch some snooker? All right. John Virgo's going to do a trick shot for you. Then we're going to go back over here because Ronnie O'Sullivan's about to enter an axe throwing competition. I was going to use this as a comparison to Monday Night Raw this week, a show that featured very little in the way of wrestling and a lot in the way of other stuff, and was going to make the comparison about how weird it feels, but all I've done is really excite myself to watch a snooker program that doesn't exist. Quite literal blue balls. This is Raw Graded. After a beautiful package about the announcement from Becky Lynch last week, we pick up where we left off with Charlie Caruso in the ring, inviting Randy Orton out, and then out comes Edge. We're going to get the response to Randy Orton's challenge last week to a wrestling match. Randy Orton says he sees doubt in Edge's eyes, and then Edge just goes off. Here he is saying to Randy Orton that you don't love the business like I do. You didn't dream of becoming WWE champion like I did. You didn't save all your money to go to the wrestling show at the end of the month like I did. You didn't cry when you won the Intercontinental Championship like I did. You don't have the love like I do and the rest of the locker room do. Randy Orton cuts this off and says, do you accept the challenge or not? To which an irate Edge says, you're damn right I accept. Drops the mic on the ground. And then Randy Orton smiles and slithers out of the ring. He's got what he wanted. We're going to get Edge and Randy Orton in the greatest wrestling match ever at Backlash. That line aside, the constant pushing of this as being the greatest wrestling match ever, this was a powerful opener, and I'm giving it an A. Two guys, masters of their craft, passioned promo work from both of them. And I don't think I've ever heard the word wrestling said so often on a WWE show. There was that point in our lives when the word was banned. It's nice to hear it, lots. The Monday Night Messiahs had a revelation. He and Murphy head out to the ring, and Murphy talks about the heinous attack on Rey Mysterio from last week, but doesn't take responsibility for it. Almost speaks as if it was something that happened to Rey that Seth wasn't involved with. Seth Rollins looks straight down the camera, addresses Rey Mysterio and says, you're going to find out that what happened to you was a blessing in disguise, and you are welcome. This brings out Humberto Carrillo, who says Rey Mysterio is a hero to millions and an idol to him. He gets in the ring as if he's going to go for Seth, but Murphy stands between them. Seth says, I'm not dressed to wrestle right now, but Murphy, who is facing Aleister Black later on tonight, is. So you can have a match now. After the break, we come to the match in progress. Big back and forth stuff between Humberto and Murphy. Humberto takes control with a dive to the outside. He's looking for a springboard, but Rollins distracts him by standing there and looking menacing. The distraction just gives Murphy enough time to recover. So therefore, when Humberto does the springboard, he goes straight into a big knee, and Murphy's Law, 1, 2, 3. And Buddy Murphy, are we still calling him Buddy? Who knows? Just pinned Humberto Carrillo in relatively quick form. They beat him up after the match, then Black runs out and scares them away. Giving this a C+, good promo by Seth Rollins, and a very there match. It was fine for what it was, just didn't really do a lot. And if that is how you like your steak cooked, ho-ho! You're gonna be full tonight. Liv Morgan puts over her mum, saying that she has her mum's determination and one day she will be the Raw Women's Champion. Liv Morgan will be, not Liv Morgan's mum, as far as I know. Charlotte Flair, who is the woman who faced Liv Morgan just t'other week, makes her way out to the ring now. She's talking about her match with Bayley this coming Friday on SmackDown, and then says, Ruby Riott, you had something to say, come out and say it. So Ruby Riott comes out. Did I miss a meeting? When did Ruby Riott have anything to say to Charlotte? Ruby Riott makes her way out to the ring and says nothing. We go to break, and when we come back, the match is in progress. Okay. The story of the match is Charlotte's hand. She goes for a chop on Ruby and hits the turnbuckle, hits the post outside the ring. So her hand's hurting for most of this match. Ruby fights back after Charlotte beats her down, goes for the Riott kick, but Charlotte turns it into the figure eight and gets the tap-out victory over Ruby Riott. This was a C. It was fine. Both of these guys have done better. This is the pattern of the night. Just these short form matches that don't really do anything for anybody. Bobby Lashley's being interviewed backstage. He's interrupted by MVP, who says, what would happen if you put that full Nelson on the WWE champion? And when is Lashley going to let Lashley out? Something else for him to marinate on. A lot of marinating for Bobby Lashley over the last couple of weeks. I think he's about ready to be popped in the oven on Gas Mark 5. We're getting ready for some axe-throwing shenanigans. We go to what looks like a LARPing event where the Viking Raiders are welcoming the Street Profits. So the joke here, Street Profits are rubbish at throwing axes, but the Viking Raiders are really good. It's a good joke, that. Get used to that, because we'll come back to it. Kairi Sane is in the ring. She is hosting a celebration for Asuka, the new Raw Women's Champion. There's balloons, there's flowers, there's a photo reel of all of Asuka's championship wins. Now she is a Grand Slam champion in WWE. And just as we are being beautifully serenaded on the recorder by Kairi Sane, she's learnt Asuka's theme music on the recorder, here comes Nia Jax, who refers to Asuka as having the greatest temp job in the world as Raw Women's Champion, and says when she wins the belt from her, they'll celebrate properly. Asuka takes exception to this, attacks Nia Jax, sends her out of the ring with a hip attack, and we're done. C+ for this bit. I feel bad giving it C+ because Kairi Sane, as a party planner, is A+. Solid recorder skills as well. But I don't buy Nia Jax when she talks. I can't. I don't. Just find her a little bit wooden. And also, the thing that affects this for me, this is the 4th non-wrestling segment of the night so far. So it's wearing pretty thin. We find out Kevin Owens is back tonight, and he's hosting a special edition of the Kevin Owens Show with Vegas Boys later on. So this is frustrating for 2 reasons. One, this is how you bring back Kevin Owens, the man who jumped off the WrestleMania sign at WrestleMania and beat Seth Rollins in just like a chat show format with a bit of build. And also, brilliant, another non-wrestling segment coming up, because I haven't had enough of them. R-Truth on the microphone in the ring, because everyone is tonight. He says that he's going to come for Tom Brady's 24/7 7-Eleven championship. He's going to take his baby back from Tom Brady. Reed Gronk tells him to watch what he does to Lashley tonight. Out comes Bobby Lashley, and they go one-on-one. R-Truth keeps turning back into Pretty Ricky and back to R-Truth again. Lashley gets bored of this pretty quick, throws him into the turnbuckle. A little bit of fire from R-Truth after a slap in the face from Lashley, but Lashley decks him with the clothesline, puts him in the full Nelson, and wins by submission. MVP walks out onto the stage applauding this, and Lana is backstage screaming and throwing things around. Not a happy chicken. C-. It was just there. It was the same, rinse, repeat what we had with Lashley and R-Truth at the pay-per-view. Just unnecessary. The Pretty Ricky R-Truth stuff I really want to like. But I feel like it detracts more than adds. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross put the WWE Women's Tag Team titles on the line against the IIconics in our next match. This feels like a 9-minute match that was shortened to 2. We see a quick fire back from the champs to start. Challengers quickly wear down Nikki. She gets the hot tag to Alexa Bliss. Some referee malfunction, which nearly sees Billie Kay hit that throat chop from last week that won them the match. But Alexa manages to counter it, decks Billie Kay with a big punch, hits Twisted Bliss off the top. Then Peyton Royce gets into the ring and just throws Alexa Bliss over and over again into the corner. The referee calls for the disqualification on this, and the IIconics look devastated as they've just lost their opportunity at becoming tag champs. Backstage, we see Billie Kay get frustrated with Peyton Royce chewing her out, and then slaps her in the face, and then both cry and embrace. I'm going to say this now, WWE. I'm going to say this now in a nice, clear voice so you can hear me at the back. If you break up the IIconics, I will write a strongly worded email to your human resources department. Thank you. C- for this. Not as good as last week's match. Last week's match was all right. This was a few steps down. Just rushed. They could do so much more. Maybe they still will. Hold out hope that this is just part of a bigger story. But, ooh, no, it was just there. Kairi Sane gets attacked backstage by Nia Jax, which I think puts paid to her recorder playing days. Asuka is furious. She goes to find Nia Jax, confronts her, kicks her in the head, knocks her down. I mean, why make the challenger look weak in one segment when you can make the challenger look weak in two? I sound really down on this show this week, don't I? I'm trying not to be. I'm trying to find light in the tunnel on everything. Kairi playing the recorder was great, but twice Nia Jax has been left in a heap by Asuka, so bring on their title match, I say. After we see a clip of The Undertaker's docuseries bouncing back, it is time for a submission match between Shayna Baszler and Natalya. I know that's not what it's called. Based on last week, where Natalya had a temper tantrum after losing to Baszler, it's submission rules this week. Baszler has basically the number of Natalya early on in this match, saying none of that Hart family crap's going to work on me. Baszler mockingly goes for the sharpshooter, but Natalya manages to reverse it, one of her own. Baszler climbs out of the ring to break the hold. Natalya throws her back in, and just a few short moments later, Natalya finds herself in the Kirifuda clutch and taps out, giving the win to Baszler. As Baszler leaves, Natalya's in the ring looking despondent. Out come the event crew to start putting together the set for the Kevin Owens show. And they're all just ignoring Natalya, who is blatantly in the ring and in the way, and they're just not responding to her. Natalya has a hissy fit, throws the chairs, throws the signs all out of the ring, and then storms off. This, to me, was a C. It was short. It was there, like most of the matches are tonight. Just very there. I think they could have done a little bit more with this. They could have had a little bit more meat on the bone with this, but there you go. Plus Natalya being ignored by the event staff and then eventually just destroying the Kevin Owens set was unintentional comedy. Kevin Owens is back! He's hosting the Kevin Owens show. He walks past the debris left by Natalya, and Byron Saxon says this probably isn't the way Kevin Owens envisioned returning to Raw, which is funny on quite a few levels. Owens says that he got banged up after WrestleMania, but now he's good to go, and tonight he's going to bring out Zelina Vega and her team. There's been some disruption within that group lately, and who knows, we may see a blow up tonight. Out comes Vega with Austin Theory, Andrade, and Angel Garza. Vega says if you're hoping for a Jerry Springer moment, you're not going to get one. She puts over her guys, she puts over herself, and then Kevin Owens introduces his next guest to the show, the returning Apollo Crews, who got injured in the match with Andrade and henceforth missed Money in the Bank. So Apollo gets into the ring, spears Andrade to the ground, Kevin gets in there, and when we come back from break, you guessed it, the match is already in progress. It's a tag match. Kevin Owens and Apollo Crews versus Andrade and Angel Garza. A couple of minutes on this one. We see Owens do some good stuff. Gets the hot tag to Apollo Crews, who just lights up the room. Zelina Vega jumps on the apron to stop Apollo Crews' onslaught. This distracts the ref, and it gives Austin Theory a chance to jump on the apron himself. Goes to hit Apollo Crews. Ends up lamping Garza. Blue Thunder Bomb, 1, 2, 3, and Crews has pinned Angel Garza. After the match, the Vega boys are all sort of licking their wounds in the ring, and Andrade adds another one by thwack, hitting Austin Theory in the back of the head. Garza and Andrade double team on Theory. Then Zelina Vega puts the exclamation points on, slaps Theory in the face, and they just hoy him into the barricade, flying into a bunch of chairs, leaving him for dead, or at least quite wounded. The C for that one, it was, oh God, broken record this week. I could have put this on a loop. Nothing match. It was just there. Just moved a bit of story along. That is, I wanted Kevin Owens to come back with something a little bit beefier than, here's my chat show, there's my chat show friend, Apollo Crews, tag match. Kind of wanted him to do something a bit beefier, but here we are. It wasn't a bad match, it was just very okay. They could have all done better. Back to the axe throwing. Eric and Ivar are really good at it. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins are rubbish at it. Ford is drooling at one point because axe throwing makes you drool. Might be an allergic reaction. Angelo Dawkins starts a fight with a horse. He throws an axe at one point and it hits a barrel of water, which upsets the Vikings. Yeah, let's come back to this later. Aleister Black and Murphy now. These guys have a history of incredible matches. This isn't really one of them. This lasts about 2.5 minutes. We see Murphy getting kicked almost to death by Aleister Black. While this is going on, we see Seth Rollins outside the ring approaching Austin Theory, who's just coming to after his shoeing earlier on. Seth Rollins extends his black glove to Austin Theory, helps him to his feet, and when it looks like Aleister Black is about to finish off Buddy Murphy, Rollins sends Theory into the ring. Theory jumps into the ring and attacks Black for the disqualification. Murphy and Theory batter Aleister Black, and at the end of this, Seth Rollins embraces Austin Theory. I can't tell whether Murphy was happy to see Austin Theory in the group or a little bit annoyed, like daddy's got a new favourite son type thing. Interesting dynamic possibly building here. C+, match was there. It was good. Like, the stuff, this is what's annoying. All these matches, they're not terrible. They're just short and a bit meaningless. But the meaning, obviously, here wasn't in the match. The meaning was all the stuff that happened around it, which was Austin Theory joining with Seth Rollins. And I can't get over what a big deal this is for Austin Theory enough. Like, this is a massive step for a guy who last week we thought was going to be heading back down to NXT. Now he's in the inner circle, pun intended, with one of the biggest stars on Raw, one of the main attractions on Raw. So fair play to Austin Theory. Let's wrap up the axe throwing. Yes, Eric and Ivar walk it. The very last throw, Montez Ford lands one. Everybody celebrates. The police then turn up, saying, "Who did this?" pointing to the axe in their windshield. Then Angelo Dawkins turns backwards and throws an axe into the air, and it lands on the bullseye. And then he trash talks the horse a bit more. And then after this, we get another segment where the police line up everybody and the policewoman says, "I'm not going to press charges because you're cute," pointing at Ivar. So police aren't prosecuting because the policewoman fancies Ivar. That's the payoff of that bit. Cool. C. It was. I sound like such a killjoy this week. I don't mean to. A lot of these segments I really wanted to like. I can't lie to you and say they're better than they are. It was, as one segment, right? As one segment, this probably would have been fine. But 3 segments through the night, nah, no. Especially when all the matches are so short and a bit crapper than they should be. You don't need 3. Just one segment where all this would happen and I'd have been fine with it. Apollo challenges Andrade for next week to a US Championship match. Zelina Vega gives Apollo the option of either walking away with one good leg intact, or taking the match and never walking again. Apollo Crews ignores the threats and says next week he'll become the WWE US Champion. Whoa, match next week. Give them time. Please give them time. You've given nobody time this week. If you're going to put that match on, give them time. The first match of the brand-to-brand Invitational. It is our main event of the evening, King Corbin versus Drew McIntyre. Throughout the night, King Corbin has been acting like a royal son of a you-know-what, being very bossy backstage, claiming that Drew McIntyre was once a follower of his and always will be. Drew McIntyre, earlier on in the night, said he's ready to face King Corbin, and we are here. Bobby Lashley and MVP turn up just as his match is about to get underway, and Bobby Lashley says he has his eyes on the WWE Championship, and if he has to prize it out of Drew's cold dead hands, he will. Back and forth match between Corbin and McIntyre for our main event. Corbin takes control when he hoofs Drew into the barricade off the ring apron. Drew continues his tradition of kicking out at 1. This kind of seems to be his shtick. Like, he kicked out of a couple of big Corbin moves at 1, including a big superplex off the top rope. Corbin starts calling Drew a follower, which fires up McIntyre. We lead to a big combo of moves from Drew that only get to 2. He goes for the Claymore. 4 gets turned into a deep 6 that looks really nice for a 2 count. Corbin goes for that roll out of the ring, roll back in the ring, clothesline, kind of the sort of big boss man type thing. There must be a name for that by now. Goes to do it, eats a Claymore instead. 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre wins the match. Afterwards, Drew is shouting down at Bobby Lashley, who's on the ramp, and Bobby is staring back at him. That's our main event for Backlash, lads. Bobby and Drew. Giving this a B- for me, probably the meatiest match of the night, but it's not saying a whole lot. We have ourselves an intriguing title match heading into Backlash between Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. Raw this week for me was a C+, and I'm being really polite. The average grade was bumped up from a C because of the opening bit with Edge and Randy Orton, which was excellent. Everything else was weak compared to weeks gone by. It feels like this is a reaction to the low ratings, and they have put some things in place and adapted the show so people channel surfing, new viewers can find it and stay with it, like by having the matches start during the break. So whenever an ad break finishes, you straight into the centre of a match, and you're not long away from the match ending and then moving on to something else. This does feel like a reaction to ratings, which is fine if you're a passive fan and you're discovering wrestling for the first time, but if you're someone like you or I who watch Raw on the regular, this is a bad episode of Raw. Unfortunately, it's difficult to appease both masters. Unfortunately, that is the case. We live in a society where you are constantly trying to keep people's attention, trying to keep people looking at your product, not looking away from the screen, always with you. Case in point, the words I'm saying now are in a much smaller rectangle because the video's coming to an end, and now it's telling you other videos to watch. I've not even finished yet. Rude. That was quite good, though. That's quite a good one. That one's all right. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.